We're live. Cheers. Cheers. A little martini. Extra dirty. What'd you...
Straight whiskey.
Straight whiskey. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So, one of the main focal points of this podcast is to form a community. We in no way want it to be where we are talking to. We want to be talking with. This might not work.
Yeah.
This
Just
might
shift
not
it
work.
over by your side. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the wind's going this way.
Mm-hmm. Fair.
This is bad then. This is actually...
Yeah, just start.
This might not work. This might not work. Anyhow, we want to be talking with. And the only way the talking with happens is by obviously us not being condescending and arrogant, and being humble and open to accepting advice and suggestions. And hopefully, and our goal is to get a community going, to get you guys asking us or inputting advice and
Starting a conversation, right?
starting a conversation. Yeah, like, yeah, we're the ones on the camera, but it's all of us kind of talking about it. And, you know, like, what do you guys want to talk about? What do you guys want to see? Like, what do you guys want us to like bring up? And with that in mind, a very, very, very special thank you to Lydia and Sunny. We've had a lot of people reach out to us and give comments, and it's been humbling. It's been honoring and humbling. The first, however, was Lydia and Sunny. Mm-hmm. And Lydia's question, which we're going to make this video on, is how to find your purpose in life. Now, we waited a little while to do this because we have no idea what the heck we're talking about, you know. No. But we came to the conclusion that maybe we should do one now, and then every so often, every 6 months, a year, try it again as we progress and maturate. And so we're going to take a stab at it. So Lydia, thank you. Sunny, thank you. We're going to take a stab at your suggestion. Thank you. Do you want to start this off, or you want me to kind of start this off?
I guess I'll just ask a question and we can roll from there.
Okay.
So, a purpose in life is something that we all look for, right? It is probably one of the most deep-seated things that we long to find.
Yeah. Probably the most deep-seated thing.
Likely. I guess in your experience in life thus far, where have you derived the most significant amounts of your purpose from?
How I treat those around me, or what I contribute to the world. And I think, like I said, complete amateur on this, and I have no idea what I'm talking about. But I think you can, when people say like, I need to find my purpose, I think there's like two paths of thought on that. Mm-hmm. One is what is the life that I most want? Mm-hmm. In regards to like, what kind of job do I want? How much money do I want? Where do I want to live? How do I want to look? You know, like, how do I want to be just like totally just like I am king or queen of my universe, and everyone around me sees it that way. You know, like, and I think that's partly good, but I think it's also slippery slope.
Like a distraction almost.
I think it can be. I think a lot of that's really good.
Agreed.
You know, because those are important things. You know, it's like, what do you want to do? How much money do you want to have? Like,
Right.
what physical health and appearance do you want? How do you want people to perceive you?
Yep.
But I think it might be the wrong wording. I think the correct wording is, first off, before the correct wording, you need to go down to the root, which is what I think the biggest question people have is, do I matter? Like, do I matter? You know, am I important? Am I needed? You know, like, if I weren't here, would people actually miss me? You know, am I, like, do I matter? Like, am I? And then that leads into, well, do you matter? Like, what are you doing? What are you contributing to? You know, how much are you contributing? And so I think to find your purpose, or I think going on that path of thought is, what are you contributing?
Like, what's your, not your footprint, but no, yeah, what's your footprint on society? What is your stamp that you are leaving on society, right? Is it a positive, a negative one? Is it impactful, not impactful in people's lives? Like, what are you leaving behind, right? Not that we're talking about we're just concerned about when I'm gone. It's like, no. This is tangible too while you exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
I think the question to ask, again, complete amateur. I have no idea if I'm, you know,
right.
But I know that I'm closer to feeling more fulfilled every single day than I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Way more.
Oh, yeah.
And so based on, like, what I've seen, it's like, where am I needed? Who needs me? And there's this diagram I saw that was the best I've seen yet in regards to finding your purpose. And it was an intersection of 3 lines, or of 3 circles, basically, you know, and you got the circle in between that combines all 3 of those. And what do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? Can it make money? And this is kind of on the superficial level. You know what I mean? Like, what do you enjoy doing? Like, we enjoy doing music.
Yes.
Right? Can it make money? Yeah, it can make money. Are we good at it?
Right.
Are we good enough to make money? It's like, a lot of people enjoy music.
Heck yeah.
Playing music, singing, and there's a market for it. But not many people are good enough to make money off it. So you have to find that intersection right there. Oh, dang it, I lost my train of thought, though. On a meaningful sense. It's like, where am I needed? What am I good at? Like, how can I contribute?
Yeah.
You know?
What are, like, your innate gifts that you have?
Yep. And I don't think, you know, and money is very important.
Sure.
It really is. Like, because, like, people think, like, money's the root of all evil. That's bullshit. That is absolute bullshit. I don't subscribe to that for a second. Because let's do away with all money. Okay, well, guess what? Now you're a burden on society. Now other people need to take care of you because you're not contributing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, maybe you decide to live a life that doesn't require money. But you still have to survive.
Yep.
And unless you want to live completely off grid, which is, you know, a great option, live completely off grid, farm all your food, produce all your own heat.
Right.
If you don't want to do that, well, guess what? You have to make money. That's the alternative. That is the modern farming.
Correct.
That is the modern living off the land. You go to work for 40 hours, and that is your financial contribution. People don't have to look out after you. But taking that out, taking the finances out, what are you good at? Like, what skill set do you have? You know, like...
Or to that point, what can you cultivate? Because maybe you don't know what your skill sets are because you haven't delved into them. But maybe you've always been interested in something and you haven't taken the time to put the effort into doing it. So, kind of run off your music example. Have we sat and, like, well, say we wanted to actually be musicians and make that a career. Have we put in the effort that's required to do that? No. No, we have not. So even if you don't have, like, innate skills, like, oh, I'm crazy good at math, so I should probably go into some kind of engineering field or whatever. Like, maybe you don't have those innate things that you know right offhand, but you have things that you're interested in and you enjoy. Have you taken the time to cultivate those skills to make them meaningful and purposeful?
Yeah. And I think to start off with an obligatory Jordan Peterson reference of cleaning your own room, it really comes down to like, what's my purpose in life? Like, I want to clean the oceans, and I want to, let's take that.
Sure.
I want to clean the oceans.
Okay.
That's my purpose in life.
Sure.
But I'm always late for things because I don't have my schedule in order. I'm running behind to do the dishes, and I don't have a clean set of clothing, and I haven't taken the time to read the book that has the vital information regarding my next step. It's like, you need to really
scale it back.
Stop for a second. Get your life complete in order. Once your life's complete in order, then you can branch out to your family and friends. Like, how can I help you?
Yeah.
I got time. All the things that I need to do to all my responsibilities so that I'm not a burden to anyone. I'm completely responsible for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Now, and I've got that mastered. And because of that, because I've mastered myself,
mm-hmm.
or at least to some degree, a sustainable degree.
Yep.
Now I've got extra time and energy that I can give to you guys. Okay, now I'm so efficient that I'm helping myself, helping you guys. Now I can branch out even further.
Yes.
And I can go to the bigger set. But you have to start at the minute level.
Exactly. You do not start on large scale and create success. You start small and build from.
Mm-hmm.
There is no way you jump to the outer ring and find success.
I think it's a real problem. I think a lot of people want to go. They see the big problems and they're like, oh my God,
that would make my life meaningful. That would be important.
That's it. It's like, you know what? Just wait until you wake up one day and you wake up on time and you feel great and you eat your breakfast and you work out and your house is perfectly clean, and then you go help your dad move this, or your siblings moving, and you help them, and then they're so thankful and you just help them, because they hurt their back or something, or a friend you haven't talked to in a couple of years, like they're moving and they injured their back, so you go to help them move, and they're just like so thankful, and you're like, wow, and you just realize like that. There's a story. Kid on a beach. A man's walking on a beach and he sees a kid throwing like clams or oysters into the ocean, right?
Yeah.
I'm
familiar with this,
yes,
but
we've probably all
please
heard
continue.
this. Yes.
Yeah.
So he sees this kid. I'm not sure what the crustacean is or whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is. Starfishes, actually.
Starfish? Okay, listen. So high tide, tons of starfish get on the beach, and this kid's grabbing these starfish, and there's just hundreds, thousands of starfish on the beach, and he's grabbing them, tossing them in the ocean. And the man walks up to the kid and says, like, what are you doing? Like, you're not going to be able to help them all. Like, you're not really going to make that big of a difference. And the kid grabs a starfish, throws it into the ocean, and says, I made a difference to that one. And that's where you got to start.
Yes. You cannot look at the big thing, because all you're going to see is the failure that you're not making change in. I'm not saying that's the only thing you're going to see, but like, it's too insurmountable. You are an individual. You need to start on a small scale that will give you success, that will continue to motivate you down that path. Right? And I think a point you're kind of going around, or not intended, but part of what this is, so you take care of the small things and you slowly build up your ability to take on more and more and more. And what you're doing is you're building your internal tolerance, or not necessarily tolerance, but you're building the skill set to adopt and take on more responsibility. I think what you're going to have happen is to find more purpose in life. I'm not saying find the purpose and your purpose. I'm saying to find more purpose. You should take on as much responsibility as you can palate, right? Not to a point where you're destroyed, not to a point where you cannot function, but if you're sitting around and you have a sense of guilt because, I didn't do this thing and I didn't do that thing and whatever, that's your internal conscience, the higher being that has created all of humanity in our souls. It is calling us to do more. It's our own internal self-judgment, right? And if you have that constantly pinging you about what you're concerned about, or maybe you just don't feel good and you don't know how to isolate that down, a great first step, take on a little bit more responsibility. And over time, take on as much responsibility as you can, right? Still function, still maintain a life that's tolerable and gives you joy within it, right? Don't kill yourself unless you're finding joy in that. I mean, do whatever it is that works for you, but take on the responsibility you can possibly tolerate, and you will find more purpose within your life.
remain in the zone of proximal development regarding responsibility.
Correct.
You know?
Correct. 100%.
Yep. Yeah, and you have to, in regards to, like I don't feel good about myself, you're not living up to your standards.
Right.
You know? So it's like, yeah, whatever your standards are, you got to live up to that. You got to master that. And then once you get there, it's like, what is the amount of responsibility that stretches me, the zone of proximal development, that stretches me but doesn't destroy me? You go too hard, you know, you're learning Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
You go to level 1, you know, you try to take the 100th lesson. It's like, well, I don't know any of these words.
Right.
I don't know the conjugation. I don't know the conjugation of the verbs. I don't know any of this. Like,
you can't apply any of it.
Stop. Go learn the pronunciation of the alphabet.
Right.
And then next lesson, learn some words.
Yep.
Then learn, you know,
sentence structure.
Yes.
Conjugation.
But stretch yourself. But yeah. And then once you get to that point, yeah, and for me, kind of going back to your original question, for me, it's been the better person I become, and the more I am able to focus on others. You know, because I spent a lot of years not being anywhere close to be where I could, and people were constantly helping me to just keep literally keep a roof over my head.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, well, I'm no good. I'm a burden. I am a burden. You know, and the more that I master myself and get my life to where I want to be and become a better person, and I'm not focused on my pleasures, but I'm focused on, you know, as opposed to looking on like, what am I doing today and this week? It's like, when I look back on my deathbed, what kind of life am I looking at? By viewing things that way, I'm able to be like, you know what? I'm not going to go out and get drunk. I'm not going to go hit on that super attractive girl.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe next week, not this week. You know, it's like, when I'm looking back,
mm-hmm.
I'm going to want to look back and be like, I visited my grandparents often.
Mm-hmm.
I had conversations with my parents that I didn't feel comfortable having, but I wanted to increase that relationship.
Yep.
You know, I paid close attention to my siblings and what was going on in their life. And if something went bad, be like, hey, let me buy you dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if something wasn't going bad, just be like, hey, let me buy you dinner.
Just take some time to
I want
connect.
to visit you. Yeah, talk. I'm going to see if there's something going on wrong. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If everything's going good, and that's great.
They're great. I'm happy to know that and be present with you.
But then once you get to that point, it's like, okay, now what else can we do? Well, maybe we'll just start a podcast. We'll start talking about things that are valuable. And then maybe, you know, and this is really good for me, because it's like, I'm like right now, I'm just venting out and I'm creating new realizations to things.
Right.
But maybe there's someone out there who's like, wow, I didn't view it that way. And that little phrase changed it. It's like, okay, so now slowly but surely stretching out. And like, my goal is, I'm 33 right now. By 55, I would love for this podcast to be big, or like some organization that I start to be like life-changing for many people.
Mm-hmm.
But that's never going to happen if
you don't start.
Yeah, if I can't get my life in order, and because of that, I can't invite you over to film because I'm focusing on that. And then you got to start small.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to focus on what's important. And that really comes down to like a soul search, which is, what is important? Is getting $10 million important? Well, guess what? If that's what's most important to you, you might get that.
Mm-hmm.
But you also might look back and be like, I've got no close relationships.
I think what you're hitting on right here is actually extremely good. And I have a little bit of a tangible thing for this. So for a long, long time, I was a person who is very structured and like future focused was my tone. So I'm like, get this done so I can get this done, so I can get this done, so I can get that done. Right? And because of that, I thought that some of the things I was doing were the best things I could be doing, like really fulfilling my purpose. So the most prime and tangible example I had, the most meaningful thing to me on planet Earth, and the one thing that I thought I was good at and found majority of my purpose in, was being a good husband. That was like my number one focus in life. Like, Spend time with people? Sure, if I can, but not if it impedes me being a good husband. Do this thing? Sure, if I can, but not if it means not being a good husband. Whatever it is. Like, that was my number one goal, okay? And the most ironic thing to me, because in that viewpoint, I was succeeding at that. And then carpet just ripped out underneath me, and I am no longer married. The one thing that I thought gave me all of the purpose of my life is now gone. So I need to like rethink my whole life? No. Well, partially, right? For me, what it was I got to reset. That goal is not actually the best goal. Good goal. Very good goal. It's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the goal. Am I being the best person that I can be? Am I the best man? Have I learned to be the best man that I can be? I've tried to learn to be the best husband, but that's not the same thing as being the best man, right? And that changes things. And this is something, so like when this reality kicked in for me, first thing I did is start going to therapy because like, I don't know how to assess this, right? I don't know how to assess my life. What I have now deemed the most important thing, the thing that gives me purpose in life is gone.
I am gone.
Right. Thank you. Yes. So everything that I have that is of value is now gone. How do I deal with that? So for me, that was go to therapy and try to figure it out, right? Like that's a first step. But at that point, you start learning. And that's not everybody has to do that. You can if you want. It's a great step. But like, you got to know where to start and where to dig into. If you are dead set on what you have is the most important thing, great. I'm glad that you are. But also, make sure of that. Really dig around. Assess it every once in a while. If you think you are king shit of all important things, get off that horse, take a step back, look around. Is this really what it is? Is this really what I've made in my mind? Is this all important and really useful and valuable? Can I be doing better things with my time? Am I really aiming to be the best person that I can be, or just a version of it that I've now created? Like, assess it, take the time, think about it. Purpose is not easily derived.
No. And this is a great conversation I would love to have with people in the final years of their lives.
Oh, man.
I wish I would have asked my grandpa this before he passed.
Oh, that is a interesting realization, man.
There's a lot of things I wanted to ask him. He was a very quiet man.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him some things, and I took the strategy of kind of observing, as opposed to asking, and I really regret that. I really regret that.
Did you ever think to do so, or is it just kind of coming up now?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And I was nervous.
Sure.
And I was focused on how I was feeling at that moment, and I was nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just conversations he and I never even come close to having, like I'd ask him little things, but it wasn't, he was a good man, very wise man. Mm. And that was something I started doing probably like 7 years ago. I worked at a gas station. I injured my Achilles, and it was the only job I could do.
That's right. So I forgot about that.
I was working in a physical industry. I tore my Achilles, and so I was working at a gas station because it was easy work. And there'd be some people, you've got your regulars who come in. There'd be some older gentlemen, and after I got to know them a bit, I'd ask them some pretty deep questions. And one old gentleman who passed about 4 months after I asked him a serious question, when I asked him that question, he looked me dead in the eyes and he started crying.
Do you remember what the question was?
I absolutely do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing?
Yeah, I asked him, how do you know who you should marry? And this is a man who would come in every single morning. He was a World War II vet, Navy. Mm-hmm. Lulu was his name.
That's amazing. I love that.
Lulu.
I love that.
He would come in every morning, grab a coffee, like a 12-ounce coffee, newspaper, and then he would go visit his wife's grave. Every day. Every single day. February, -20 degrees.
Doing it.
Coffee, newspaper, visiting his wife's grave every day. And I asked him that question, and he looked me right in the eyes, and tears started welling up. He's like, "You make damn sure." It's like, "You make damn sure." It's like, "You're gonna get in fights. You walk away. You don't yell. Once you calm down, you come back. You solve it." But yeah, he was like, "You make damn sure." It's like, but that might be a really good strategy, is seeking out those with wisdom.
Dude, seeking out wisdom of others is so useful.
And yeah, maybe read some books. Go out and experience and ask questions.
So I actually mentioned this in a different podcast we did. But one of the main things we do in life is, like, in our relationships that we have, is we operate on either a student, so we have a mentor of some kind, or we are the mentor, right? We are giving advice and providing wisdom to others. But man, I feel like way too often, we often focus on the being a mentor aspect as opposed to searching for mentors, right?
We like to think we have more answers than we actually have.
Yes, we totally do. But man, how much knowledge and wisdom can you gain from just taking the time to just talk to people who know more than you do? It doesn't need to be an 80-year-old. It could be, you could be 21 and talk to somebody who's 45 and just ask them, like, "Hey, how did you get that house?" or whatever, right? Like, whatever is pertinent to you. Just start getting some knowledge and learning. From that, I mean, back to the actual purpose description, dude, you're not going to know what your purpose is. And if you think you do know what it is, great. I'm really happy for you. I'm also a little hesitant, because continue to dig into it, all right? If you think you have the ultimate end-all, be-all purpose description, assess it. Sincerely assess it. And if you don't know where to start, then do what we were saying earlier. Start small. Adopt a little responsibility. What's the next thing that can push me to be more responsible? Okay, I'll make sure I go visit this person. I'll do this thing. Whatever it is for you, right? But like, take steps that push you in the zone of proximal development. Stay in that area that's a little uncomfortable. It's good to be a little uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. Not destroyed, not buried. Just
get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yes. Comfort is a killer, dude. Mm-hmm. If comfort is your main goal in life,
you're dead.
Yeah.
You're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you living? I'm 33. If I'm lucky, I've got 50 more years.
Right.
Now, am I going to live 50 more years, or am I going to live 1 year 50 more times?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And that kind of ties off of what we just did the other day, which was like being present. Like, for all those years, don't be looking at the long term. Look at where you are. See what you can handle right now. Deal with what you can handle right now. Do it. Push yourself a little bit into that. If you're sitting back and you're like, if you know there's something nagging at you, right? If you're like, "Oh, I should do that. I should do that." Or like every time you see a family member or you think about something and it kind of like upsets you, address that. Look at it right in the face. See what the hell it is that's causing you that disruption. And do the healthy thing to deal with it, right? Don't just let the things that are killing you kill you, right? We're all dying slowly. Don't let...
Yeah, it's the best part of life.
No. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, don't let your mind kill you. Because it can and will. It'll get you to that complacent state of everything's fine, it's fine. But deep inside, everything is awful.
Yeah.
Isn't not what you want it to be.
Don't be so sure that you have it figured out. Constantly reevaluate, reassess, readjust. Hopping back real quickly to what you were saying is like, there's so much knowledge out there, so much wisdom. Pretty much anything you want to know, whether it be just a skill set, wisdom, someone out there has it.
Mm-hmm.
And it requires like the humility to realize I don't have it and I'm going to pursue it. And when I do pursue it, other people are going to be fully aware that I don't have it, but I'm going to pursue it regardless.
Indeed.
I think we're close on time.
That's it, bud.
All right.
It was good.
All All right, so what we are doing here is we literally turned off the camera less than 2 minutes ago, and we started talking again. We're like, okay, let's just turn the camera back on. We may or may not add this on to the end of the video, but we're just, we want to keep going.
Yep.
The reason we started, the direction we're going now, is we were talking about how it felt really good for us because we both kind of got vulnerable. We kind of both just kind of like we
opened up.
We opened up about things that we wouldn't open up to strangers about, and we kind of were like, it's just like it's the aspect of storytelling, just like it makes it relatable. It makes it if you're willing to just kind of open up and like tell a story of your life, it's like, oh, I can relate to that, as opposed to just being like 2 + 2 is 4. It's like, no, I felt this because of this, because that happened. And it's easier for us to relate. And that's kind of what we got on.
That's pretty much where we were. So we were at the point of like, like I was saying, everybody has a story. We're living a story that's actually happening right now. Each of us has our own story to tell. And it's so freaking crucial for us to be able to do that, man. Like, today, somebody was telling me just parts of their story in their life. And it wasn't necessarily something that I would normally... How he was telling it was not a topic I would normally maintain a conversation on. But I looked him in the eye and I could tell he needs to say this right now. He needs to share this story. So I need to be engaged in this. I need to be present. I can't just pass this through. And
he needs to say it to a human.
He
needs to bounce whatever his soul's going through off of someone else.
100%. And not 30 seconds after I had that realization, he stopped talking for a second. He just looked at me and said, "Hey, thanks for listening. I appreciate that." I was like, yep. Yeah. It's the stories of our life. God, that sounds like a soap opera. In fact, I bet that is a soap opera.
I think it is. I think it is. Actually.
Oh, damn.
Man, you want to know how to impact people's lives? Listen.
That's how many people suck at that. I suck at that.
But how many people don't get it?
Yes, that's more important.
Like, how many people don't get a listening set of ears?
All the time.
All the time?
All the time.
And not the listening is like, oh, I'm going to help them out.
Yes.
I'm going to offer this great advice. They're going to... No.
That's not the point.
I'm literally just going to sit here and not say a single word until they've completely emptied their glass of everything that they don't want in that glass or that's bugging them. And then once that glass is completely empty, then we start to fill it back up again.
Yes.
But you just don't say a word. You just be there. And yeah, I'm terrible at this. Constantly, you're trying to talk, and I was like, "Oh, dude, hey."
Dude, I do the same thing to you all the time.
But I know I've been meaning to talk to you. But yeah, just I'm not going to say a single word.
No.
I'm just going to let them vent it all out.
And there's a part of that. So there's many different points of our story that we need to tell. And the deepest parts of them are the things we don't want to say to others. They're the things that, for whatever reason, we feel self-conscious about, whether somebody's going to judge us or, that's the majority of it. Somebody's going to judge us. Somebody's going to make us feel bad. Somebody's not going to receive it well. They're going to just instantly push it off, or just whatever it is will be a negative response. You know what the best thing you could possibly say to someone after they've shared something that you... Pay attention, listen, be present. But when somebody is actually letting themselves out there, when they're done, you know the first thing you say to them?
Want to make out?
Yes.
Okay.
Are we doing it? No, you just tell them, "Hey, thank you for sharing that with me." Do you understand how deep that impacts people? It's because the first thing they hear is not a criticism, it's not feedback, it's not judgment. It's a statement that said, "I listened to you."
You know what's crazy is you're really good about that. I think you're one of the very, very, very few human beings who's ever said that to me. And the first like 2 times you said it to me, it like completely caught me off guard. But it very impactful. Very impactful.
Yeah, and don't say it to say it. It's not a phrase, right?
You have to mean it.
Yeah, like legitimately. If you're paying attention, the first thing you want somebody to know is that you appreciated that they gave you the information. They just opened their soul to you. They just let out the thing that they don't let out.
Thank you for trusting me.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. Yes. That freaking, oh, dude, that changes people's. You want to impact people? You want to have some kind of like tangible touch on people's soul? Just be present with them, right? Just let everybody exist as they are and acknowledge them for that. If they like something you have, if they admire something about you and you're like, oh, I hope they do this. I want them to do that. You know your best way to get them to do that? Fucking listen. Just be present with them. Don't sit there and be like, my end goal, I want them to do this. I want that outcome from them. So I'm going to start shaping it for that. It's like, no, dude. Just stop. Listen to the person that they are. Try to understand them first. What do they need? What do they need to say? Right? You might learn something you've never known about somebody. And that might change exactly how you thought you should have impacted them. Right? And you don't know that until you stop and let them tell their story.
Be very, very present. And come to the realization that you are a passenger on the ride.
Of other people's lives? Yes.
You are not the conductor. You are going to vicariously go on a little journey. Let all your inhibitions off to the wayside. Get on their train. Give them the attention they need. Focus on them and just go for the ride.
Yes. And you know what's going to happen because of that? People will reciprocate that to you. Because it's not that we're just doing this for other people, right? We need this too. We have a story. We need it to be validated. We need it to be heard. We need it to be lived through. And you're not going to get that from people by pulling it from people. I can't grab your attention if I need it. I may be able to like say things and you would, yeah. But you can't always just get somebody to be available. You can start by being present with them and also a sense of vulnerability with them. That because what you're doing is you're throwing out a line of, hey, I'm trusting you. And it's a responsibility that other people feel. A majority of people, you throw them out that line, hey, I got this thing. You got 2 seconds. A good majority of people are going to be like, yeah, what's up? There you go. You started. That person is now present for you. Because that's another part of it, right? So listen to people, yes. But if you're trying to talk to somebody who's not necessarily listening, and you would prefer they would, right? You value them, you think their input would be useful, but they're not listening. Throw out that little sense of vulnerability and see if they don't just grab on, right? Because we innately would like people to just like read in us that we need them. And like, we would love if somebody comes up to us and be like, hey, you're a little off. What's up? You need something? That'd be great. But that doesn't happen. That rarely happens. If you throw out that little line of vulnerability, maybe somebody doesn't grab it. Okay. You didn't chuck out your whole soul. Move on. It sucks. It's going to sting. But if somebody does latch on, awesome. You've deepened a relationship. You've created some level of a supporting base. You've done nothing but positivity right there, right? When most often our inner soul is telling us like, oh, don't do it. It's going to hurt. Oh, don't do it. It's going to hurt. Somebody's going to not trust you. They're not going to listen. They're going to hurt you in this way, that way. They're not going to care. It's going to hurt way much more. It's like, no. People will often be present. Often, right? That's not true for everyone, but.
Yeah. goes back to, I think it goes back to being the best person you can be for others. And it'll come back around. But even if it doesn't come back around,
No.
you still got to be the best person you can be. You
Right.
know?
In what way is it going to behoove you to not? Right?
Okay, so you're out half an hour one day and you improve someone's life and it never comes back to you. But guess what? On your deathbed, when you're looking back and you view yourself doing that 300 times, 400, 500, 600 times of your life, and you're like, I did more good than I did harm.
I had way more purpose in my life than I wouldn't have.
Maybe that was my purpose. Maybe I listened to the kid who went out and achieved great, great things, but they wouldn't have done that if they didn't have the 10 people who listened to them. And I was the first person that listened to them. And by just doing that, they realized people will listen. And then they went out 9 more times over the next 10 years. People
You never
listened
saw
to
them again. Doesn't
You
matter.
never saw them again, but then they went out to do great things. But guess what?
You
played a
enabled
part in
that.
Yeah.
I saw something the other day. Actually, I think my cousin Ashley put this online. It was everybody's all concerned, like if you could go back in time. Everybody's all stressed about, oh, don't change anything. If I go back in time, I can't touch anything because it's going to alter the future too much. We're living that. You can do something right now that has that exact effect.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean the past? Do it now. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't do it, it could have that negative impact that you like, oh, I wish somebody would change that. It's like, do it now. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
Everybody's so concerned about things that aren't even possible. You can't go back in time. You can live right now. You can make an impact now. Why the hell not?
I mentioned this on a different podcast. Something that my grandpa says is, like, this is it. This is the show. There's no dress rehearsal. It's like, guess what? If you live the show right now, you don't really have to look back and be like, I wish that would happen, that would happen. It's like, no, because you already did it. You already did it, dude.
100%.
You know?
You are living the life that you are living. And it's all happening. You cannot change it. You can't... Like, living with regret is not a useful thing. Regret or... Oh, what's another one? If you're... What would be the opposite of forgiveness?
Resentment?
Yeah. If you're
hate?
Resentment. We'll go with resentment.
Okay.
Say you're living with resentment. Resentment is like the equivalency of... Say you have resentment towards a person who wronged you, right? You living with that is like the equivalency of you drinking poison and hoping they die. It's like, what the hell? What the hell are you doing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're all pissed off and it's ruining your life and they're just existing. You have done nothing.
They're going to see how miserable I am and it's going to affect them so much. When in reality, they're going to look over and be like, well, that person's miserable. Glad I'm not by them anymore. You know what I mean? Man, if I see them again, I'm doing the exact same thing. They deserve it, you know? What a miserable pile, you know?
But for real, that's like what we do, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
What do you think of these cigars?
Decent. My problem is I botched up mine, so it's all like feathers down here.
And you really don't like that.
I hate that.
I slobber so much, it makes no difference.
See, what I've started doing is kind of fat lipping it, like going way over the top of it, and I can really appreciate it. This is not as good as those other ones with the green labels that I'm...
No.
Whatever those are.
I'm going to go and buy some of those because those
Dude,
are
for
awesome.
Whatever it is, if you beat me to it, send me a picture of that. I want to know what company that is.
Yeah, that's great cigars. What do you think? You want to keep going? Or you want to close this out?
What would you prefer?
I said to close it out.
Let's do that.
Lydia, Sonny, again, thank you. Mary and Matt, you guys both offered us great suggestions. We will tackle those when we get to them. Thank you for those. Lydia, I know you're you are a creative person. You like creating things. We've watched some of your YouTube work. It's great. And we hope you continue.
Sincerely.
We would love to see what you can produce. And Sonny, thank you for the encouraging words. You have no idea how impactful that was on our mindsets of wanting to continue this.
So true.
So thank you guys. Thank you.
Thanks. All right, man.
All right, we'll close it up.